Pearl, all right? Just to keep this straight. Serene, right before we went on, you said something. You said, I have a grandchild who, whatever. I didn't hear anything after you said that. You have a grandchild.
Yes.
And you're pregnant again. And look at you. She looks like you're... You look like you're in your 20s.
And she is a grandmother in a week.
Yes.
In a week, really?
In 2 weeks. Yeah,
Okay.
and she's got 3 weeks to go. Just 3 weeks.
That's amazing. Well, you
Yeah.
don't look it any other way around except for the glowing joy on your face. I can tell that you really enjoy mothering. I just want to start right there, actually. Tell me about your family.
Mine?
Yes.
Oh, well, it's just beautifully chaotic. It's loud and bustling with a bunch of energy, but it's just the best. I feel so blessed because each child has just brought so much flavor, characteristic,
yes.
and we're just never bored.
Well, that is...
Never.
I can say that about my family. You have how many children?
This is number 9 biological, and then we adopted 5. So it'll be 14 once little Bubba comes into the world.
Oh, my goodness. So it's a boy?
I don't know.
You
just
don't
a Bubba.
know.
That's a New Zealand way of saying baby.
Bubba?
Yeah,
Aww.
Bubba. And here, I think in the South, Bubba is like a big guy.
Well, yeah.
But,
I was like, he doesn't look really big, Serene.
but down under, Bubba is just a sweet baby.
Yeah. All right, how about you? Tell me about your family.
I have such a small family of 5 children, so.
Nah.
Okay, and then back it up a generation. You come from a large family.
We do.
Tell me about that. That clan is pretty wonderful too.
Well, so we're the last 2 of 6 children, and then once we all grew up and started having children of our own, our parents adopted more, and from Africa, and so.
Well, we really feel like God opened up this platform for Trim Healthy Mama. It's really kind of a joke because we could never say anything growing up because we had these big boisterous brothers and
we talk
louder older sisters.
Our brother's 6'8", and we're almost 6 foot, but I'm the runt of the family at 5'10", and so we could never get a
She
word
had
in
this little
edgeways.
pipsqueak voice, and at the dinner table, Dad would have to stand up and say, "Let the little one speak," and still, we never had a chance. So maybe that's just why God's opened up this platform. Now we can say something.
Yeah. Okay, so my daughter Georgie, I hope she's hearing that. She is our little tiny petal sandwiched in between 3 loud boys,
Yes.
and so you just spoke hope to her. Okay, so Trim Healthy Mama. It's a phenomenon. It's a revolution. But tell me where it started, because it started out of a lot of pain and desperation. Why don't you go first, Serene?
Yeah. Well, I'm a little bit extreme with everything I do. So, I had tried everything, trying to find, the perfect diet for me and for my husband and to raise my children on. And so I think I'd gone through nearly everything psycho to do, and I'd ended up at the point where we started Trim Healthy Mama, finishing a 7-year stint of complete raw food veganism, where I didn't even have a taste test at Costco,
Of cooked food.
Yeah,
Nothing.
But, I had teeth crumbling out of my mouth, because I had been nursing and pregnant on just plant food alone. And it wasn't enough to nourish or sustain me. But I was just so done. But I thought that I had reached the pinnacle of what the wisdom of man was saying was, you have reached as far as you can go with health, And so, but I was feeling rotten, I felt like my whole skeletal structure was just kind of like probably the babies were eating all the calcium off me, and anyway, and I went over to Pearl's house and I'm like, Pearl, I'm just so done. I feel like everybody says that I should be the picture of health, but I just secretly I feel like awful. And I got all my books and all my health books and I hissed them off the deck.
Off the deck, yeah.
The same place I got my husband to hiss our oven off the deck a few years before, because I'm like, okay, we're just having 9 dehydrators in our house. Forget this oven, this cooked food thing.
Wow.
And so I heffed off all the books off the deck. I'm like, I don't even want to take them to Goodwill because they so derailed me. And I went to Pearl's house, and she's like, we just got to get back to the Bible. And Pearl, tell them what we found.
I had my own story. I'm not as extreme as her. I'm just like the lazy person. I don't want to spend time dehydrating and doing the raw food and juicing carrots. I'm way too lazy for that. But I wanted to find a good way to feed my family, and I had a little weight problem going, and I wanted to trim down, and so I tried everything: the low carb, the high carb, the vegetarian, the no fat, and all the books that say this is the way to eat. No, don't eat that; that will kill you. Don't eat that, and then I was so done. I had female issues. I had migraines. I had to have a nap every afternoon. I'm like, look at what all this so-called wisdom has brought to me. and I was a mess.
Wisdom.
Yeah.
All the wisdom.
So we
But
went.
it wasn't wisdom.
So we went to the Word of God, and it was just so eye-opening because we came across the scripture in Deuteronomy, so poetic, and it talked about every food group. It was like, I give you the herb of the field, the blood of the grape, the fat of the ram, the milk of the goat, and it went through all of them, the harvest of the field. And I was like, wow, it's including everything. And in all the other unsustainable approaches, we had to take something out.
Right.
And we're like, you mean we can see everything as a gift? You know, despite from, there's allergies, it's a fallen world.
Right,
Some people have to go off things for seasons.
Yes.
But it was a very big leap of faith because, the books and the gurus tell you, well, don't eat that, it will do that to you. But then it was right there in the Bible saying, and these are the meats that you shall eat. It didn't say, well, it's sort of second best, and if you have to eat them,
if you're going to do it, make sure it's organic. No, I get it.
It was like, you shall, and there it wasn't. It was like, we can take this leap of faith and trust God. Can we do it?
And then when, the story about, when the angels came, and they fed them the butter of kind, like butter.
Yeah.
Butter. And we're like,
it sounds so much better when she says it. Butter. All right. They have a book that we can't wait to talk about, but we have to come back to the next segment. So stay put. All right. Stay close, everybody. Welcome back to The Three, everybody. I'm Laura Harris-Smith, and I am really excited to have these two on myself. I wanted to meet them for a very long time and have these discussions with them. Trim Healthy Mama is here, Serene and Pearl, and you, before the break, were telling us the story of how you really got into this whole, it was out of desperation. But your very first book, this is your fourth, okay, Trim Healthy Mama, The Trim Healthy Table. But I want you to go back to the beginning, to the very first book. What were you thinking when you were writing it,
Well, we had, come to this realization that we could eat all these food groups that God had given us. But then we started eating them. And I started growing out of my clothes because I'm like, oh, butter, oh, rice,
cream and banana, stick it together.
And so it was great. I started feeling great, but I developed a weight problem and we were like, but hold on, surely God wouldn't lie to us. Said we could eat all this and then we just sort of grow stout and fat, And so then we really just studied about the way our bodies metabolize food and we realized,
there you go. When it comes to health, we just love to get dorky with the science.
So we got really deep. We got deep and we figured, yes, we can eat carbs. Yes, we can eat fat, but let's do it in a way that is smart for our body.
That's right.
We figured this out and then we decided, to share it just with friends and family. And so it started working for them. And then they started telling other people. We just kept getting calls and emails and
writing it out on like little pieces of paper and handing it out. And we're just like,
and all we were doing all day is telling people how to do this thing that had worked for us.
It's easier to write a book.
Yeah.
We just let it talk for you.
And that's why it was so huge, 600 and something pages, because we were like, you know what, if somebody comes to us with a question, we're just going to say, go to 300, page 352. It'll be there. But the joke was on us.
Yeah, because there's still questions. But we didn't know, we just self-published a thing. There were spelling errors. We didn't know what we were doing.
We spelled pizza pizza, for goodness sake. We just...
But somehow it got out there and it resonated. We never spent a cent on advertising. It just started to grow, and then we realized, it's a New York Times bestseller. How did that happen?
We're living out there in the woods with our chickens and mooing cows and children running crazy, and somebody calls, do you know your book's a New York Times bestseller? We're like,
how do you get on the New York Times? We don't know.
That is the perfect word, resonate. Something resonates with people when they have a need in their life. And just from sitting here with you these few minutes, you've made believers, I think I can speak everyone, that it wasn't some genius that you had. No. It was out of a need.
Yeah.
And that is, a lot of times we teach what we need to learn.
I think so, and so many people were like us. We're so done.
Yeah.
Just at that stage where it's like, don't tell me one more thing that's confusing and conflicting. There's too much out there. Can it just be doable? And can it be simple?
Yeah, don't tell me another thing I have to take out of my diet. And don't give me another unsustainable, miserable approach to food.
Because we love food.
Yes,
most people do. I think we were made to love food.
Yes.
So I heard you talk about living, or I heard a video, living in Dunn, or you were...
Dunnville.
Dunnville,
it's like a town.
I'm done. I'm totally done. All right, well, on to the current book, Trim Healthy Table. This is so beautiful. It's such a beautiful book. Look at all the colors. So talk to me about this. I know it's more than a cookbook, so talk to me.
Well, I think, you know, our plan started resonating with women at first, and they shared it with their friends, and they shared it with their friends, but then somehow, you know, it trickled into their family. Like husbands started to come on plan. This is like man food. And then whole families started trimming down together, churches, communities. It sort of took on its own life, and so we got asked for, hey, can you just give us more recipes that our whole family can do together?
Family-friendly food.
And doable quick, because everyone's too busy. Everyone's life is chaotic. And we were like, let's get dinner on the table in 20 minutes. Like food that you'd already normally eat, but let's make it trimming and healthy.
You're resonating again. It's happening.
Comfort food. We just wanted to celebrate the all-American comfort food. It's not just going to be like sprouted lentil pilaf or something weird. You know, that it's just like real.
We want lasagna, we want pizza, we want a skillet meal that you can slap together, you know, because it's just, otherwise it's too hard and not sustainable.
We want chocolate cake.
Yeah,
because we fight chocolate with chocolate.
Yes.
So tell us about the S meals and the E meals, and you've got these all coded. This is so neat.
Yeah, but I think it's really easy.
Yeah, we didn't find that in the Bible.
No, we don't pretend we found S and E in the Bible. But we did find carbs and fat in the Bible. And we just call it S because it's satisfying, because you know fats are so satisfying.
Ooh, yes,
Low fat.
Ooh. Low fat is not good for your brain.
No, it's not.
We've got a whole generation of people now that, because of the low fat diets and the cholesterol, the statins, they are robbing their bodies of that fat is so important to the brain and to the myelin. And if we don't have the right amount of cholesterol, everybody thinks high cholesterol. They've got this number, they've averaged out all these unhealthy sick people and come up with this number we all have to stay under, when the truth is you need cholesterol to make your hormones. You need it to be healthy all over.
It was so interesting because, you know, here in America, you've this big kind of dogma, you know, low fat. But when I adopted from Africa, my daughter, she came at 14. And she was not under any of the influence of the diet dictocrats. And she was just like, oh, can I suck on that yummy meat bone? She's like, oh, it tastes the grease. Oh, I love the grease.
Oh, my goodness.
And she was complimenting over it, and I was like, oh, but maybe I should train it off a little more. And she, oh, no. And it was so delicious to her, and she just didn't know that it wasn't meant to be bad to her. And I learned through her eyes, just how natural the instinct is to crave fat.
But you know, the other thing is right now, it's so trendy right now to be the other way, where carbs are the evil thing.
That's so true.
Take the carbs out.
So true.
And that proved to be a really popular diet, but then I heard that the maker of it actually died.
Well, your adrenals and thyroid just tank.
They're going to tank.
We need
That's exactly
carbs
right.
for our thyroid. And so, yes, so the E in our meals are carb meals, but we do the gentle carbs. You know, we learn to just keep our blood sugar balanced, and that's what our plan's about.
E stands for energy.
Both carbs and fats are in there, and that's why we need them, and we love them, and we desire them.
There are some people who are saying, where are carbs and fats in the Bible? So we'll talk about that when we come back. Stay close, everybody. We're back with Trim Healthy Mama, and they said something right before the break about carbs and fats being in the Bible, and I heard everybody in the place go, what? So I want you to tell us about that, exactly where that is. It's in Deuteronomy, but I mean the portion is, what was it saying?
Well, it said the fat of the ram, that would be saturated fat.
Yes,
Very correct. And then the harvest of the field.
So you've got your grains.
Yeah,
you know?
That's right. We don't come from grok.
You know, there's a whole big trendy thing like, you know, grain. We're not supposed to eat grains, but of course, modern grains are pretty crazy.
Ancient grain is what we celebrate in Trim Healthy
And then the
Mama.
blood of the grapefruit, that's a carb.
And in Song of Solomon, refresh me with apples.
Yeah.
And then I think in the Proverbs it talks about having enough goat's milk for the maintenance of the maidens. And that maintenance word really struck me, because maintenance in the Hebrew actually means refresh your body.
Yeah, and some people can't tolerate dairy, but you know, dairy's in the Bible too. So unless you have a sensitivity or an allergy, we're all about the things that people have been eating for thousands of years.
And just enjoying the gift that our Creator has given us.
And God gave us these things. Man is the one who has polluted it or genetically modified it or whatever. That's a whole other conversation.
It is.
But I love that. I wanted you to mention that Deuteronomy passage again. All right, so you guys have, over the course of, how many years have you been doing this? Like, when was this? Give us some reference that you first started.
Our first book came out 5 years ago.
This has been a whirlwind.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it took us 5 years to write.
Yes. So
There's hardly any academic
it totally
brain.
did. We had children like
running around, like all of mine and all of hers in one house. We'd do it in the summer when we were taking a break from homeschooling.
Okay.
But running around together, stucking raisins up their noses, and
So then you wrote it together,
Yes.
and you wrote it in, how long did it take you to write it? I'm
5
curious.
years.
It took 5 years to
Yes.
write it? You weren't kidding?
No, 5 years.
5 years.
Well, it worked. Every word was ingenious. So then how long until you saw results in your own bodies? Now, I know you did that before the book, but how long from the time that you began to implement these biblical principles did you see change?
Well, this is, I mean, health-wise, we just started feeling it every month. But, you know, I didn't have a lot to lose. And we'll talk about that story too.
Yes,
but
let's do.
This is not a fast weight loss thing where you're going to see 30 pounds in 30 days. You know, we don't make big promises.
lifestyle.
But it just started melting in a natural way.
But there's a scripture in the Bible that we love too, that he gently leads those with young. And we really didn't want to put anything on anybody or ourselves that was just kind of like whipping you into shape. You know, there's boot camp approaches.
Yeah,
we don't want
because
anything
as
to do with that.
mothers, you know, we've got a lot with children to care for, sleepless nights. You know, we're not about the big boot camp.
And boot camps, they can't sustain pregnancies. They can't
You can't
create good
not only that,
nursing.
not only right. I was going to say you can't if you're sustaining a life afterwards. If you're nursing, I mean, you need to eat healthy, but sometimes we get so caught up in that fad diet or boot camp, as you're saying, and we'll lose the weight. So you'll lose the weight, you'll look fine on the outside, and meanwhile your insides are withering. So anything you do, fast or long term, or you know, if you'll do it God's way, if you'll do it the healthy way, it will have great results.
And I think that's what started resonating as we got stories. I've lost 100 pounds. Our mouths would drop every day. These stories just started coming in, but we didn't know our plan would do that. We didn't know what would happen with this. We had no idea. At the hundreds of thousands of testimonies that just started coming in, and it blew us away, and it continues to do so.
And your social media, I mean, you humbly said you didn't know anything about social media. Well, I'm telling you, social media knows all about you. So
That's
you've
our mamas.
inspired.
That's the people that
Right.
have done this. It's not us at all.
Well, we're back to the resonating word again. So I want you to give people the website. I want you to tell them when they go to your website, what are they going to find and what should they do?
Well, it's www.trimhealthymama.com, and there, you know, you can grab the book. Yeah. With this, you don't even need products. You don't need a coach. You don't need anything but tools of information. And this book, we've got it in one chapter, and then we've got all these recipes to get you going. And so you can shop at any grocery store.
We have a lot of fun special ingredients that you can order from us, but we didn't start doing that.
No.
And nobody needs to do it. And you can even just get the book from the library.
Yeah,
There you
if
go.
you don't want the money, do that.
There you go.
But just grab these tools, because it can change the course of your life and your children's life.
Yes, it absolutely can. You all are a living testimony. You've got 14 children between you.
Well,
Actually,
This
No,
will be
you have
19.
the 19.
But
I'm
of course
sorry.
we have our own
and then how many
husbands and all
grandchildren?
Right. There
How
are
many
two
grandchildren?
husbands to this story.
Okay, we can't leave them out. So how many grandchildren do you have?
6. Yes.
And then you have their first on
My
the way.
first grandchild
but I
is
cheated,
here in 2
because
weeks.
I adopted older than my birth order. So.
Did you? You did not cheat. That's funny. So did you have in your growing up years, did you have this same thing, the same kind of dietary? Like, did you grow up eating healthy?
Our mom
So
was
this-
like an original granola mom.
So then you, after you became adults, you went through the veganism and all of
Absolutely.
that. Okay.
It was when we sort of got on our own and started reading and adopting this person's ideas and that person's ideas and what the latest diet books had to say. That's what messed us up, actually.
Yeah, wisdom of man messes you up every time.
Well, you know, there are a lot of people, and I'm one of them. You mean so well. You try so hard to help people. If we don't, and I'm speaking as a nutritionist, if we do not center everything on God's word, it's going to have maybe some, you know, results, but not long-lasting results. So one of the things I love about the two of you is that you have given us a way to have long-lasting results. I can't thank you enough for being here today. trimhealthymama.com. Go to it. You can read more about Serene and Pearl and their wonderful story and their king-size family. It's all wonderful, great. So thank you so much for being with us on theTHREE, and I hope that you will join us next time. More guests like this, because we're always looking out for your body, mind, and spirit.